Mute.
We wanted to make sure to record this. So friends, again, welcome for such a special evening. We've been waiting for Della to come to the United States to be able to give this particular session to us. And we have asked her to come back. A number of our friends.
We are losing you.
Hello, Shala. How are you?
I'm very good. So good to see you, my dear.
We here. Tout est silence.
I think Ferus Hanım is frozen.
Yeah, she is frozen. She has to go out and come back in. That's what she's going to do most probably. She is just frozen a little bit.
It's okay now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
We hear somebody.
Is that Bruce?
Kara has them. Voice is okay now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, but we have lost Firuz John.
Okay, thank you.
Il y en a du monde, hein, 54.
There she is. She's back.
No sound.
No.
She may have to close her video and just have her sound. She may have problem with her internet.
Perhaps we can hear the player anyway.
Okay, so Firuz has asked me to begin. So I will do as she asks. So lovely to see all of you. Many of you I don't know, but it's always lovely to make new friends. And this is the second time that I have spoken at one of Firuz's meetings. So it's a lovely occasion to be back. It's sometimes a bit of a challenge to not repeat oneself, especially when talking about a subject such as this, where most of the time I present historical information. But this time I decided that what I would do is to present the subject in a somewhat different way, approaching it from, let's say, an angle that has to do with the equality of men and women, the importance of women according to the Baha'i teachings. Now, I will begin to share screen. I have some material, and the quotes are will be projected so that you can follow along with them. And I will do that right now. So, as Boruz mentioned, the subject that I chose was a queen and a spiritual handmaiden. For those of you who are Baha'is, of course, you're very familiar with this title, handmaiden. If there are people who are not members of the Bahá'í Faith, this is a title that is given to very special women who serve the faith. And Martha Root was given this title. Martha Root is the woman on the left, and Queen Marie of Romania is the woman on the right. So again, for those who might be unfamiliar with the Baha'i Faith, it is a world religion whose purpose is to unite all the races and peoples in one universal cause and one common faith. Baha'is are the followers of Baha'u'llah, who they believe is the promised one of all ages. The traditions of almost every people include the promise of a future when peace and harmony will be established on earth and humankind will live in prosperity. We believe that the promised hour has come and that Baha'u'llah is the great personage whose teachings will enable humanity to build a new world. In one of his writings, Baha'u'llah says, "That which the Lord hath ordained as the sovereign remedy and mightiest instrument for the healing of all the world is the union of all its peoples in one universal cause, one common faith." So I imagine that most of you here would very much like to see this happen. I don't know if any of us will have the blessing of seeing it in our lifetimes. It's been a very, very long time coming since God created this amazing world. But we're working together, all of us from Haiti and Canada and Malaysia and the United States and all of the countries in the world. Baha'is are working with people who are not members of the faith to try to establish this new world, to build this new world. And that's a very exciting project that we all have. In the Baha'i writings, one of the most important things, one of the most important aspects is the equality of men and women. And the writings describe this as follows: the world of humanity has two wings. One is women and the other men. Not until both wings are equally developed can the bird fly. Should one wing remain weak, flight is impossible. So I think we see that this bird is definitely not flying. We have made perhaps progress since Baha'u'llah announced that he was a manifestation of God in 1863. But I think we are still quite far away from full equality. And the quote goes, there's another quote that says, until the reality of equality between man and woman is fully established and attained, the highest social development of mankind is not possible. Even granted that woman is inferior to man in some degree of capacity or accomplishment, this or any other distinction would continue to be productive of discord and trouble. The only remedy is education, opportunity, for equality means equal qualification. So again, all of us, I'm sure, are fully aware of the fact that we are quite far from this goal. And we hope that in the not too distant future, this will be accomplished. I'm talking about this because these two women were really ahead of their times. So we have Martha Root, an American Baha'i, who became a believer in Baha'u'llah and his teachings in very early on. In fact, right before Abdul Baha, his Baha'u'llah's son, visited North America in the early 1900s, around 1912. And Queen Marie, who also was very distinguished in her efforts to serve her adopted country, which was Romania. She was actually born into the British royal family, so she was the granddaughter of Queen Victoria, and she married the prince who would become king of Romania. So the last quote that I have, which talks about this concept of equality, is the principle of religion has been revealed by Baha'u'llah that woman must be given the privilege of equal education with man and full right to his prerogatives. That is to say, there must be no difference in the education of male and female in order that womankind may develop equal capacity and importance with man in the social and economic equation. Then the world will attain unity and harmony. In past ages, humanity has been defective and inefficient because it has been incomplete. War and its ravages have blighted the world. The education of woman will be a mighty step toward its abolition and ending, for she will use her whole influence against war. Woman rears the child and educates the youth to maturity. She will refuse to give her sons for sacrifice upon the field of battle. In truth, she will be the greatest factor in establishing universal peace and international arbitration. I don't actually see the last sentence. Arbitration. Anyway, I don't see it on my screen because it's covered by something. If somebody sees it, could they read it, please?
That assuredly women will abolish warfare among mankind.
Okay, wonderful. So as you see, thank you very much. As you see, you know, we often say that we don't know when peace will come on earth, but you have seen from these quotes that it's very clear when it will come. It is dependent on men and women truly being equal, truly having equal education. And I've lived in a number of different countries. There are quite a lot of people throughout my life who have insisted that in their country there is equality among men and women. For example, in Romania, many Romanian women told me that, yes, we're equal because we get the same pay. So that is considered to be in some places equality, and that is not equality. And, you know, we have seen many problems that exist in the world because women are considered inferior, because they're considered to be somehow the plaything of men. And now this doesn't mean that men and women will ever have the same responsibilities, because they have different responsibilities. And we all know that men cannot bear children. There's a lot of effort being made to try to change that in the scientific world. I somehow don't think that's ever going to happen, but we'll see in time, perhaps. But I don't see that will happen. So we definitely have a timing for peace on earth, and that's definitely something that we can look forward to, and we should try to work towards. This is a picture I really love of Queen Marie. She wrote a lot about the Baha'i Faith after she learned of this faith, which she loved very much and promoted internationally through letters that she wrote to, or articles, I should say, that she wrote to the North American Newspaper Alliance, which then shared her articles with newspapers around the world. And Queen Marie was very much interested in the plight of orphans. She did a lot to help educate children in Romania. She really, really cared a lot about seeing the country advance. And most people don't really know too much about that. The years of communism tried to actually erase everything that had to do with the monarchy. But slowly, it's coming to light. And one of the things that perhaps you don't know, which is interesting, is that we have a pioneer in a Baha'i pioneer in Romania. A pioneer means that you leave your country and you go and assist the Baha'i faith in another country where there's a greater need or a specific need. And one of the first pioneers to settle in Romania was Dr. Varga Enayati. He pioneered from Germany, where he was born, to Persian parents, Iranian parents, and he settled in Romania as a student. He studied medicine, and he finished his medical studies, and then he did his specialty in cardiology, and then he decided that he would actually set up a multi-specialty clinic with a colleague, and he turned it into a huge network that covered the entire country. And what is interesting is that he at one point decided that he wanted to rebrand the name of his company, and he approached the royal family. So we're talking about the granddaughter of Queen Marie, about the possibility of using her name in the name of the company. And so what this has done is that Queen Marie, the name of Queen Marie, has really become a household name again in Romania. So many of the younger people did not know who she was. The older people did, more or less. If they had lived through the period when there was a king ruling the country, but the younger people certainly, most of them did not. And so now, for example, people say, oh, I'm going to Queen Marie because it means that I'm going to to have some medical treatment or something. So her name is often mentioned, and there are signs everywhere with her name. And so this has been a great service by Dr. Enayati. Here is Queen Marie with some peasants. It's possible that they are gypsy. And you'll see that her coat is a traditional Romanian design. During the First World War, Queen Marie was very active in helping to cheer up the wounded that returned from the battlefield. And it was quite remarkable because there was a lot of sickness. There was typhus. In fact, her youngest child contracted typhus and died. So against the advice of many people who told her that she was endangering her life, she would go, she would visit the wounded, she would sit by their beds and read to them and bring them gifts. And so this is one of the reasons that I feel that she was very, very much ahead of her time. This is a beautiful portrait of her as queen. And now we move to the spiritual handmaiden. So this is a portion of a letter which was written by Abdul Baha, who was the son of the prophet founder of the Bahá'í Faith, Abdul Baha. It means the servant of the Blessed Beauty. So he took this title.
Hello. How
Hello.
are you doing? Not too bad, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, running around like a headless chicken. These are yours.
Excuse me.
Because
Della, could you mute everyone, please? Because now you are the host. I'm
Yes,
not.
yes, I will try to do that.
Can you make me a co-host?
Now you take the
Yes,
plate
let me.
off of
Yes, and put it in the Cadillac
the Cadillac
Hold on
has
just a
and
this-
throw
minute.
that old one.
Don't throw it.
Ah.
Don't throw it. It could be used by somebody else. Don't throw it
Gigi,
out.
could you,
Okay.
Gigi,
Give
could
it back
you
to me.
mute yourself?
I'd recycle it.
Gigi?
We'll send it back to ICC
Okay.
because that's no use to you.
All right.
Right? So if I could.
The host can mute everybody.
Yes, I don't remember how that's done. I haven't used Zoom in a
It's
long
okay, because
time.
I made you a host because I was
Not
kicked
the
out.
second. So I done one.
So
that
if you
lets
make me
drive on
go
the
on,
street.
Oh, yeah.
The second one, so I can.
Okay,
do
let-
some business.
Let me see if I can find
So,
that.
and I made the wrong
Um,
booking for the exam.
for the day.
Does
So I
anybody
took
know where I
Oh,
find
yeah,
that?
look at that.
It was
Did
You go to
Go
Kitty's
on
card.
participants.
Oh, so,
so
Click on
still, I'm good to
participants.
drive.
Ah,
On the
yes.
bottom. And then
Okay,
you
now
go,
Nash's
yeah,
name.
then you go to the name that's in question, and then you can mute them there.
Okay, great. All right. So as I was saying, Abdul Baha wrote a letter to Martha Root, and this he addressed to her on the 10th of January, 1919. And in it, he said, "My hope from the blessings of His Holiness Baha'u'llah is that thou mayest forget rest and composure, and like unto a swift flying bird, thou mayest reproduce the melody of the kingdom and engage in songs and music in the best of tunes. All ears are alert for the summons to the most great peace. It is therefore better for thee to travel now around the world, if this is conveniently possible, and roar out the call of the divine kingdom. Thou shalt witness great results and extraordinary confirmations. So this is a very, very interesting passage. First of all, for those of you who might not be familiar with the way the Baha'i writings are formulated, you will see that Abdu'l-Baha refers to her as a swift flying bird, reproducing the melody of the kingdom and engage in songs and music. So obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but Martha Root, I don't think sang, but this is a beautiful way to help people to understand that they must present what they have to say, what they are sharing about the Baha'i faith in the most beautiful way. And so he is advising Martha Root to do this. And it's for the summons to the most great peace, because Abdu'l-Baha spoke greatly about the need for there to be a peace in the world. Now, we're all familiar what's going on in the world now and over the years. And I think that it's possible to say that this Ukrainian war might be, just a moment. This Ukrainian war might in fact be a war that is more universally known about than any other conflict that we've had so far as it's going on. I mean, people know about the First World War and the Second World War, but I don't think that they knew about it all over the world as it was going on. And we are able to see the devastation that it's causing, the loss of life, the terrible harm to infrastructure in a country that did not start this war. And it's just horrifying. I think most people are quite upset by this. And then Abdu'l-Baha ends this paragraph saying, "It is therefore better for thee to travel now around the world, if this is conveniently possible, and roar out." So we can imagine that it's like a lion that is roaring out. And in fact, it's my understanding that somewhere Martha Root is referred to as the lioness of the kingdom, perhaps because of what Abdu'l-Baha says here. So roar out the call of the divine kingdom. Thou shalt witness great results and extraordinary confirmations. And this is particularly interesting because he is telling her, if you do what I am suggesting, you are going to have great results and extraordinary confirmations, which was the case. So, you know, I think few Baha'is, if any, would have not followed the advice that Abdu'l-Baha gave in this letter. This is Martha Root's passport photograph. I'm sure that her passport was full of stamps from all over the world. She is said to have traveled to all countries in the world except Russia. She never was able to obtain a visa for Russia. Now I'm showing you the following pictures primarily because, as some of you might know, especially in the East, but this also happened in other places, there was always a great separation between men and women. So you see Martha Root here with a woman, but the men were the ones that she was meeting with in this particular case. And some of the communities, for example, this community, I think it's in Iran, Martha Root would have to meet separately with the men and the women, in this case, the women and the girl children. And so you can see how backward was this idea of equality of men and women. And I think what is very, very interesting, but also extremely saddening, is the fact that Iran, which had made some progress in this area, seems to have moved backward very, very far, as we have all witnessed in the protests by many in that country, because the clergy is trying to give all of the power to men, all of the privileges to men, and suppress the contributions of women. So definitely no progress there right now. And then this is another photograph taken in Iran. This is all the men, and you can see here, I don't know, do you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so the one woman is right here in the middle, and that's Martha Root. So she met separately with these men, and then separately with the women. I mean, that it's a Baha'i meeting, so the idea of the equality of men and women had already been expressed probably by, well, had certainly been expressed by Baha'u'llah in his writings. But for a long time, the certain communities around the world would continue to follow the traditions in the respective countries. So at the time that Martha Root was in Iran, this was still very much the case. Here is Martha Root in Egypt with a group of young Baha'is, and the gentleman in the front here was Mr. Aziz Yazdi. Perhaps some of you know him. He was a wonderful Baha'i who pioneered to Africa, and then he was appointed to the International Teaching Center, which is an institution in the Holy Land, which is for the Baha'is is also the Israel. Then well, when Martha Root visited, it would have been Palestine, but so again, just with the men. Now, Baha'u'llah wrote in the most holy book, which is called Kitab in Persian. In Arabic is it means book, and Ahdas is laws. And so the most holy book of the Baha'is is called the Kitab-i Ahdas, and it contains the laws that are quite interesting and quite different from the laws of other religions. We have very few things that we're not allowed to do, but there is a lot of guidance on how we need to live our lives. We have laws that pertain to burial. We have laws that pertain to marriage. And these are all contained in the Kitab-i Ahdas. And this is a passage from that book in which Baha'u'llah talks about the station of the king or queen that will accept his message. And he says, how great the blessedness that awaiteth the king who will arise to aid my cause in my kingdom, who will detach himself from all else but me. Such a king is numbered with the companions of the crimson ark, the ark which God hath prepared for the people of Baha. All must glorify his name, must reverence his station and aid him to unlock the cities with the keys of my name, the omnipotent protector of all that inhabit the visible and invisible kingdoms. Such a king is the very eye of mankind, the luminous ornament on the brow of creation, the fountainhead of blessings unto the whole world. Offer up, O people of Baha, your substance, nay, your very lives, for his assistance. Now, again, for anyone who is not a Baha'i, this is perhaps a little bit difficult to understand, but the Baha'i faith believes that in the future, kingship will become universal, but it will be a very different kingship than what we have now. And so Baha'u'llah had written to the kings and rulers of his time and told them about the message that he had brought from our Creator, God, and encouraged them to accept this message and to use it to promote peace on earth. But none of them did. And so this is why Queen Marie has such a high station in the Baha'i faith, because she learned about this faith and immediately began promoting the teachings of the Baha'i faith, because she understood that this is a message from God, and that she was very attracted to the concept of progressive revelation, progressive divine revelation, which means that there are not different religions, but that periodically God sends messengers, such as Abraham and Krishna and Buddha and Jesus and Muhammad and the Bab and Baha'u'llah, to teach mankind how they should learn, how they should live their lives, and how now we are ready, on the cusp, ready to establish peace on earth. It will be a while, I'm sure, but we have the tools, we know how we should do that. And so Baha'u'llah had written this in the hope that the kings of his time would help, but they did not. This is a photograph of Martha Root as a younger woman. She started traveling quite late in life and had a lot of difficulties. She didn't have a lot of money to travel. She was in ill health a lot of the time, and she traveled in very challenging conditions. So Ruhia Khanum, who was the wife of the guardian of the Baha'i faith, Shoghi Effendi, wrote this about Martha Root. Martha Root was firmly convinced that in her possession was the most priceless gem the world had ever seen, the message of Baha'u'llah. She believed that in showing this gem and offering it to anyone, king or peasant, she was conferring the greatest bounty upon him he could ever receive. It was this proud conviction that enabled her, a woman of no wealth or social prestige, plain, dowdily dressed, and neither a great scholar nor an outstanding intellectual, to meet more kings, queens, princes, and princesses, presidents, and men of distinction, fame and prominence, and tell them about the Baha'i faith than any other Baha'i in the history of this cause has ever done. So this is a very important concept that I think all of us need to think about. We who are the followers of Baha'u'llah, who have made a decision to be members of the Baha'i Faith, we all have this gem. We should all show this gem and offer it to anyone. And if we're able to do so with kings or peasants, that's wonderful. And here, Ruhia Hanum talks about Martha Root, not being a great scholar or an outstanding intellectual. But what is interesting is that she was certainly one of the first women to be educated, to have a university education in North America. So she wasn't just a simple woman. She understood a lot about the world and had studied a lot. She was a journalist. And when she arrived on her trip in Bucharest, Romania, she decided, why not? Why not try to reach out to Queen Marie? So she did that. And in a letter she wrote to her friend Ella Goodall in 1926, she says, next Bucharest, the American minister said I could not see the Queen Marie of Romania, but I wrote her a letter and sent her Abdul Baha's picture and Dr. Esselmont's book, which is Baha'u'llah and the New Era. To this day, this is one of the outstanding introductory books about the Baha'i Faith, this book by Dr. John Esselmont. And here, what I would like to point out is that Martha Root could very easily have thought, well, the American minister must know that I have no chance, so I will just let it go. But she didn't. She decided that she was going to do the next best thing to asking for an audience. And she wrote a letter to Queen Marie, and she sent some gifts. And this was confirmed with an invitation the following day from Queen Marie. And that would have been their first of 9 meetings. This is what Queen Marie looked like in 1926. And Queen Marie, in her diary, she kept a diary every day. She talked quite a lot about reading the Baha'i books. She had quite a lot of books that were gifted to her by Martha Root. Some were sent to her by Shoghi Effendi. Others were given to her by other people, such as Lady Blomfield. She and her daughter, Princess Ileana, ordered books from a Baha'i publisher. And she spoke about them. So she spoke about them and she wrote about them in these articles that she sent to the North American Newspaper Association. So we know that she actually read these books. And then to give you an example of a diary entry. So on Sunday, February 21st, 1926, at Cotroceni is the residence in Bucharest that she lived in. She says, went to English church with Ileana, that was her youngest daughter, but it was what I would call a poor service. I really pray better at home with my Baha'u'llah books and teaching, which have brought me such a message lately, the message, in fact, that I have always been waiting for. It has become a joy and comfort to me and has at last brought God quite near. For the first time, I have felt religion. Every principle of Baha'u'llah is acceptable to me, understandable, of greatest and perfect help. All my hazy desires and thoughts have been suddenly made concrete by this teaching. My whole soul answers, it feels it to be the teaching. I am also giving it to Ileana, for she too is a great searcher and astonishingly open and waiting for truth. And then in a letter she wrote to a friend of hers, Loie Fuller, at around the same time, she says, lately a great hope has come to me from one Abdul Baha. I have found in his and in his father Baha'u'llah's message of faith all my yearning for real religion satisfied. If you ever hear of Baha'is or of the Baha'i movement, which is known in America, you will know what that is, what I mean. These books have strengthened me beyond belief, and I am now ready to die any day, full of hope. But I pray God not to take me away yet, for I still have a lot of work to do. And then this is a page from a letter that Queen Marie wrote to Shoghi Effendi, who was then guardian of the Baha'i Faith. So that's the royal seal in the corner here. And she says, some of those of my caste wonder at and disapprove my courage to step forward, pronouncing words not habitual for crowned heads to pronounce, but I advance by an inner urge I cannot resist. With bowed head, I recognize that I too am but an instrument in greater hands, and rejoice in the knowledge. Little by little, the veil is lifting. Grief tore it in two, and grief was also a step leading me ever nearer truth. Therefore, do I not cry out against grief. May you and those beneath your guidance be blessed. Something by the sacred strength of those gone before you. So,
upheld.
Yes. So, in fact, this particular letter is interesting because for some reason, although Shoghi Effendi kept every letter that he wrote, copies of every letter that he wrote, I'm not really sure how he did that, because in those days, there was no such thing as a copy machine. This particular letter was not to be found at the World Center. And this was in the State Archives in Bucharest. And I was able to obtain a copy of it and present it to the Universal House of Justice. So there had been a draft of the letter at the World Center, but not the actual final letter. And this is a woman, her name is Lillian Barron McNeil. I've added her picture here because she was a childhood friend of Queen Marie. And Lillian Barron became a Baha'i. And her husband, General McNeil, was posted to the Holy Land during the British Mandate. And they loved Palestine so much that when he retired, they decided to settle in the Holy Land. And they went around the countryside looking for a place that they could rent to live in. And they found a beautiful house. And unbeknownst to her, it was the mansion of Mazrae. And she became friends with Shoghi Effendi, and then she had quite a correspondence with her childhood friend, Queen Marie. And this is a letter that Queen Marie wrote to her. So Marie and her sisters would call her little Lillian because she was younger and quite a little child. So she says, "Dear little Lillian, it was indeed nice to hear from you and to think that you are, of all things, living in Haifa and are, like I am, a follower of the Baha'i teachings. and we had planned, Ileana, my youngest daughter, and I, to visit the holy graves. Shoghi Effendi was expecting me, then there were political intrigues. It was after the death of my husband and people were being nasty with me. And I had under pressure to give it up, and it was a great sorrow to me for more reasons than one. Yes, certainly it interests me that you are living in that special house. The teachers so loved flowers, and being English, I can imagine what a lovely garden you have made in that Eastern climate. With much love, Marie. And then she ends it by saying, please give Shoghi Effendi a warm greeting from me. And these are appreciations that Queen Marie wrote, which she sent to Shoghi Effendi to be included in the Baha'i World volumes. So this one says, the Baha'i teaching brings peace and understanding. It is like a wide embrace gathering together all those who have long searched for words of hope. It accepts all great prophets gone before. It destroys no other creeds and leaves all doors open. Saddened by the continual strife amongst believers of many confessions and wearied of their intolerance towards each other, I discovered in the Baha'i teaching the real spirit of Christ, so often denied and misunderstood. Unity instead of strife, hope instead of condemnation, love instead of hate, and a great reassurance for all men. And you see on the right-hand side is the envelope in her handwriting addressed to Shoghi Effendi. Another one from 1934, the Baha'i teaching brings peace to the soul and hope to the heart. To those in search for assurance, the words of the Father are as a fountain in the desert after long wandering. And another, more than ever today, when the world is facing such a crisis of bewilderment and unrest, must we stand firm in faith, seeking that which binds together instead of tearing asunder. To those searching for light, the Baha'i teachings offer a star which will lead them to deeper understanding, to assurance, peace, and goodwill with all men. This is the last photograph that was taken of Queen Marie before she died at an early age of an unknown illness. And then I wanted to conclude with a few quotes from the Baha'i writings about death, because it's a subject that has fascinated me, and the Baha'i Faith talks more about the human soul and life after death than any of the religions in the past. And one of the things that happened to me recently was I was listening to an amazing talk by Adib Taherzadeh on the human soul. And in it, he starts his talk by saying that most people do not know that they have a soul, and the majority never think about their soul. And it's something that really saddens me, because in the Baha'i writings, it becomes very clear that it is the development of our soul in this world that helps us immediately when we get to our life after we die, after the body ceases to exist. The soul will go to another existence. And so I thought to share this because I often love to think about how the souls in the next world associate with each other. And I'm sure that Martha Root and Queen Marie must enjoy each other's company, and all of the souls that have gone on before. So I thought to share this with you. So Abdul Baha says, to consider that after the death of the body, the spirit perishes is like imagining that a bird in a cage will be destroyed if the cage is broken, though the bird has nothing to fear from the destruction of the cage. Our body is like the cage, and the spirit is like the bird. If the cage becomes broken, the bird will continue and exist. Its feelings will be even more powerful, its perceptions greater, and its happiness increased. This is the resting place, the final resting place of Queen Marie in a church in Curtea de Argeș. It was not her wish to be buried here, but all of the crowned heads and their spouses are buried here, so she did not have any choice in her burial place. And then Abdu'l-Baha continues by saying, as to the question whether the souls will recognize each other in the spiritual world, this fact is certain, for the kingdom is the world of vision. In other words, things are visible in it, where all the concealed realities will become disclosed. How much more the well-known souls will become manifest, the mysteries of which man is heedless in this earthly world. Those will he discover in the heavenly world, and there will he be informed of the secret of truth. How much more will he recognize or discover persons with whom he hath been associated? And in the 1990s, the Universal House of Justice had a portrait of Queen Marie prepared for the reception area to its council chamber, which is located halfway along that hallway before the portrait of Baha'u'llah, of Abdu'l-Baha, sorry. And it's beautiful because all the people that are received by the Universal House of Justice, which is the international governing body of the Bahá'í Faith, are waiting in this particular hallway to be received by the Universal House of Justice. And they see this portrait of Queen Marie, and next to it is a portrait of the Malietoa Tanumafili II of Western Samoa, who was the second reigning monarch to accept the Bahá'í Faith. So I think this is the end of my presentation. And I will stop sharing my screen. And if the friends would like to ask any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
I have a question.
Yes.
A photo that you did show Martha Ruth with a group of Arabs standing with their turban on.
Yes.
Or can you tell me where that was taken?
I just found it the other day, and I don't remember if I looked to see where it was from, but I can look it up, and I can let
it was in Tabriz, sure.
Boruz know where it, if I can find it. I don't know if it was actually identified. I had never seen that photograph before.
Yeah, because in that time the Arab world were so restricted.
Yes.
And I just wonder if they were local Arabs from or they were Baha'is just standing by Martha Ruth.
Right. Now, it is my understanding that Martha Root visited all of the countries. They might not even have been Baha'is. I don't know. She might have been just having a meeting with them, because, you know, she would go to these countries, and she had learned specifically Esperanto in order to be able to talk with people whose language she did not know. And so it's possible that they weren't even Baha'is.
Della, there is a question. I apologize for the technical problem, but there's a question in chat, which is Sue has made a very, very good question. Would you like me to read it, or can you see?
Yes, go. You read it out loud, because maybe not everybody sees it. I do see it, but you go ahead and read it.
Do we know if Queen Marie was familiar with the letter written by Baha'u'llah to her grandmother, Queen Victoria? If she knew of it, do we know if her grandmother's favorable response to it had an influence on her decision to embrace the Baha'i faith?
Okay, so yes, Queen Marie did know about this. In fact, Shoghi Effendi had this tablet that was sent to Queen Victoria, prepared in Iran. Of course, it was all of the tablets that Baha'u'llah wrote were probably either in Persian, Arabic, or Turkish, depending on who he was sending, which king and ruler he was sending it to. So it probably would have, I would imagine that that particular tablet might have been in Persian. So he had it written out in beautiful calligraphy by some friends in Iran, and also illuminated, which means that it was decorated in a very particular Iranian way. And let me see, just a minute. And so he had that prepared for Queen Marie, and it was given to her. It was supposed to be given to her by Martha Root, but I think it was eventually given to her by Lady Blomfield in London during a visit that Lady Blomfield had with her. For some reason, Martha Root didn't manage to meet her at the right time, and so it was given to Lady Blomfield to present to her. Now, as far as the understanding of what Queen Victoria had done, for those of you who might not know, among the kings and rulers that Baha'u'llah addressed, there were two who he addressed in a positive way. The rest were being chastised for the terrible things that they had done to the peoples of their countries. So we're talking about people like Napoleon and Kaiser Wilhelm and Emperor Franz Joseph. And so they had all done some really terrible things, and Baha'u'llah chastised them for that and told them that they must not treat their, I mean, I'm really paraphrasing. I don't know these tablets by heart, but for example, the tablet that Baha'u'llah addressed to Pope Pius, in it he talks about the fact that the priests, you know, that the clergy spends so much money on itself, and that they should not do that. But the two rulers of that time, addressed by Baha'u'llah, who had done some positive things. One was Queen Victoria, who was responsible for the abolition of slavery in the British Empire. And Baha'u'llah praised her for her role in that. I mean, she was not the only one who did that, but it was certainly with her approval that slavery was abolished. And the second was Tsar Alexander II of Russia, whose minister had offered Baha'u'llah the possibility of seeking refuge in the Russian territories, refuge from the persecution. And Baha'u'llah very kindly refused this refuge, because that was not what was meant to happen. So there's some, it's quite interesting and complicated. It's wonderful to read about these things. But I think what is very, very interesting about these two rulers is that they are both grandparents of Queen Marie of Romania. So Queen Victoria was the mother of Queen Marie's father, and Tsar Alexander II was the father of Queen Marie's mother. And so these two, who are the only ones that received some positive comments in the letters that Baha'u'llah addressed, had this granddaughter who accepted the message of Baha'u'llah. As far as you were asking about her decision to become a believer, I think that happened. I think that happened before she received that letter that was prepared, the tablet that was prepared for her in Iran, and I don't know whether she was told of that.
Shahla is waiting. Della?
Yes, certainly.
Thank you so much. This is a wonderful presentation. Truly, I enjoyed it.
Good.
And I think that Martha Root tried to reach all the rulers and the leaders of countries. It's fascinating that she tried. Some she did and some didn't. I'm wondering if any archives, other archives, has letters and other things that she sent, because I know that when she went to Iran in 1925, I think, actually Shoghi Effendi recommended that she does not go to Iran, but she did. And she tried to reach Reza Shah. I'm wondering if in that royal family that doesn't live in Iran anymore, if there are any documents from Martha Root. I know she tried to reach the Emperor of Japan. I know we went to China as a result of her letter that she sent from China. And the difficulty she had with the religious groups there who were trying to prevent her from teaching the faith. But I'm wondering if in their archive there are any, because she was so bold. This woman was so bold that wherever she went, she just went out and reached out to the leaders. And she didn't mince meat about anything. So I'm wondering if you have come across anything, because my mother was a child when she went to Iran, so she doesn't remember Martha Root. But my oldest aunt, my mom's sister, was a teenager, and she remembered, and all the women of her age often talked about Martha Root in loving. They had loving memories. Also, she went to Pune in India, when I went to Baha'i school in Panchgani. The Baha'is there, that generation, remember her.
Mhm.
coming there, actually, some of the activities that happened with women, both in Iran and in India, was the result of her action and her talks with them and her telling them how to reach out to others.
Mhm.
So, but I'm wondering if you have seen anything in any other archive, or have you tried to see if there is any other letters of Martha Ruth to any of their other leaders?
No, I haven't done any of that because I was really just interested in Queen Marie. I do know that in the earlier volumes of the Baha'i World, there were some sections that were appreciations, and I think there was, if I remember correctly, there was something that was written by the king of maybe Iraq at the time, and I think maybe something written by the Queen of the Netherlands, or I mean, there is, but it's possible that if somebody were to look for things like that, they might find it. Although, you know, sometimes these royal archives are not open to the public. So I was very fortunate that the State Archives it's not open to all the public. You have to request permission to go there. And
also, the picture you showed could have been in Iraq, because that looks
yes,
like the style
yes,
of
it's
clothes
possible.
that the Iraqis wore. So we may be able to find out who they were.
Right. Yes, so there's another question
Another
from
question.
Sue
which-
Emmel.
Yeah.
Just a second. She says, was your call to live and serve in Romania influenced by your interest in Queen Marie? Yes, I did originally go. I was going to go there for the summer. I was on my way to graduate school, and I was interested in just researching. I mean, I had no plan of writing a book. I didn't even realize that there was so much information available. And then beloved Ruya Khanum, Amatul Bahar Ruya Khanum, heard that I was going there, and she invited me for dinner one night. And she said, so I heard you're going to Romania. I think she had just been there for the election of the National Spiritual Assembly. And I said, yes, I'm going to try to see if there's any information in the state archives about Queen Marie. And she said to me, you know, says that if you are not able to
Della, you stopped your video and you are the host. If you leave, everything will come down.
okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, but can you make
Okay.
me a co-host, please?
Well, you remember I told you I don't remember how that's done. Hold on just a minute.
Just click on my face on the right-hand side. And it's written make co-host.
Okay, great. Make co-host. Very good.
Thank you.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Let me see if I can get my video back. Just a moment. No, I can't. So you'll have to just.
No problem.
So she said, you know, Baha'u'llah says that if you are unable to go, to serve in another country, you should subsidize somebody to go in your place. And she said, I would like to help you to go for 1 year. And as you can all imagine, it was very difficult to say no. So I decided to go for a year. And then when I was there, 1 year turned into, or a summer turned into 25 years. And then I left for 5.5 years, and I just returned last year. So it's been an amazing experience, because I really feel that this association with Queen Marie is something that has blessed the country, and I think great things are in store. So yes, go ahead, Foruz. You had a question?
There was a question in the chat asking about her children. Did any of her children understood and accepted the faith?
No, none of them have. But she has a granddaughter who wrote a lovely letter on the occasion of the bicentenary of Abdul Baha's passing. And in it, she spoke about her grandmother. It was Princess Helen, who lives in England. I didn't include that letter. It's quite an interesting letter.
Next time.
Yes, next time. And then also, I mean, this doesn't have anything to do specifically with the Baha'i Faith, but I have become very good friends with her grandson, who is her great-grandson, who is the son of Princess Ileana, who also was for a time quite interested in the Baha'i Faith, but then she drifted to back to Christianity, which she felt she could serve better, since it was more established in Romania and in the countries that she lived in.
Do you have a question, Pema Khan?
No, it just I have a question. Do you know Martha and Ron Sullivan? They were pioneers in Romania for a few years.
No, I don't know them.
No.
Martha?
Okay. Yes, Martha, yeah.
No, I don't know that name.
Martha and Ron. They were pioneered in Romania in 1990s. Yeah, they were there.
Okay.
Late 80s and the early 1990s. Yeah.
No.
Della, there's another question by Sue in the chat, and she says, is it widely known in Romania today that their Queen Marie embraced the Baha'i Faith? And is it a fact that widely promoted in effort to stimulate interest in the population at large? Before I give it over to you, I just wanted to say that one of our friends who is actually volunteering at the House of Worship in Chicago, she wanted to be a part of this discussion, and she said there are many Romanians who are coming to the House of Worship, and they know about the Baha'i Faith, and there's an interest about it. I don't know. Would you like to address that?
Yes, so it is openly known that she if not that she was a Baha'i, at least that she had a connection with the Baha'i Faith. There have been films made that mention this. There's a beautiful film that was made by a friend of mine, John Florescu. It's a docudrama, and in it they speak about her being a Baha'i. I don't know, I think it's available now somewhere, but I'm not sure where. I don't know if it's the History Channel or what. I can perhaps look for it and see. The Baha'is are always talking about Queen Marie, and certainly because Dr. Enayati has been naming a lot of his activities in her honor, and he collects memorabilia that has to do with the Queen. And he is a very influential person in that country who comes in contact with a lot of prominent people. He never fails to mention her. So yes, I would say it's quite widely known.
Moro's left you a question, and he's not happy that I did not see that.
Okay.
He's asking, dear Della, did your mother ever draw a portrait of Queen Marie?
I need to make some rice so I can pack a lunch for tomorrow.
Okay. No, she never did. I've tried a number of times to get a Baha'i artist by the name of Duffy Sheridan to do a portrait of Queen Marie, but so far I haven't been successful. He's a very, very interesting, I don't know if it's called a realist painter who paints portraits that look like photographs. And I had hoped that maybe he would do one someday, but he hasn't, I think he doesn't feel inspired to do so. So I'm giving him time, and I might broach the subject again the next time I see him.
Della,
Yes.
not that these questions will be ever finished.
Yes.
And that's why, again, we have another. Moro says, maybe I should try my hand.
Yes, definitely, Moro, definitely.
Okay, Moro, you got it.
Yes.
So usually after 8:30, for half an hour, we start a devotional.
Okay.
If there's any question, please go ahead and ask your question. If not, Della, what do you want us to devote this half an hour of devotional to, or who? Guide us.
Okay, so I would really appreciate, maybe we could say a few healing prayers for Nell Golden, who serves at the World Center, and she has had some kind of a problem. And I also have a very dear aunt that I'm visiting here. Her name is Jo Thoman, and she is having some health difficulties. So if we could all think of Jo and Nell and anybody else who needs healing prayers. And maybe also that the war in Ukraine come to an end.
Perfect. Della, I just wanted to say that we have somebody in this call who was a pioneer, a young pioneer in Romania. He learned the language. He has suggested to say a prayer in Romanian. So yeah. I would ask Mr. Taherzadeh, if it is short, Mr. Taherzadeh, please go ahead. And then I'll ask Behzad to start our devotional with a Romanian prayer, and also then Tarajan, go ahead, and whoever else wants.
There is a question. There is a question.
That's Mr. Taherzadeh. Yes, Sheila.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. In Baha'i circles, it seems to me that in Baha'i circles, in general, the Baha'is are aware that Queen Marie knew about the faith and was sympathetic to the Baha'i faith. But I don't think, in general, the Baha'is, the Baha'i community in general, I don't think they realize to what degree Queen Marie embraced the faith. It seems from your presentation that she embraced the faith of Baha'u'llah completely, and she even expounded on it, meaning she went ahead and explained its fundamentals, its principles, its implications, its influence, its necessity for the world. She was recommending the faith of Baha'u'llah to the entire world, and I'm pleased to see that the Universal House of Justice has fully, of course, let me not leave out Queen Marie's total allegiance to the Baha'i faith and to the guardian of the cause of God. That is a complete allegiance. And we should be proud that the Universal House of Justice has recognized the allegiance of this royalty to the faith of Baha'u'llah and placed her image close to the House of Justice, council chambers of the House of Justice, along with the King of Samoa. This I don't think the Baha'is in general are aware of this, that a royal, was she head of state or not?
Well, her husband was head of state.
But she had the title of queen.
Mm-hmm.
So a royalty has had this influence and this allegiance to the faith of Baha'u'llah. This is a great confirmation for the entire Baha'i community.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we shouldn't, of course, the Baha'is also know that her grandmother, Queen Victoria of England, also had a hopeful response to Baha'u'llah. But again, I don't think the Baha'i community realizes that Queen Victoria was an emperor, was the emperor of the largest empire maybe the world has ever known, and a commonwealth that still exists and flourishes, an emperor of the British Empire is essentially confirmed the validity of the faith of Baha'u'llah. This is enormous, and we're not really aware of this, and we don't bring it in our discussions. As an emperor of the British Empire, the most famous emperor of the British Empire, had such a response to Baha'u'llah, and that her granddaughter, Queen Marie, gave her full allegiance to the faith of Baha'u'llah. These to me personally show that this new divine revelation enjoys the allegiance at the highest levels of human society. We cannot go higher. We cannot go higher than Queen Victoria in world society. We cannot. So this, we should really, I hope you can promulgate this your message and your experiences, so that the Baha'i community comes to realize that this this new revelation has had the support and allegiance at the highest levels of humanity, of humankind. And this should give us a lot of confidence in what we are doing, because the Baha'i community is struggling day in and day out, struggling, and needs this injection of confidence that what we are doing enjoys such a status in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taherzadeh. I really appreciate it. Della, do you have a remark?
I just left the name of the book that I wrote after I did research. It's been available for 23 years. Very few people have read it. And it gives all of the information that you have brought up. And so there should not be a lack of information, because the information does exist. So feel free to order it. And it's a terrific story.
Can the title of the book be put in chat so everyone?
I did.
Okay, you did. Okay, all right. Yeah, maybe I missed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there's no more questions, Della, would you like to say something at the end?
No, just thank you very much, Farouz. I love talking about this subject, and it's wonderful to meet you all. And some of you I know a little better than others, but I wish everybody wonderful opportunities in their neighborhoods and everywhere they do their sharing of the Baha'i faith, because, you know, we really do have a precious gem and so many wonderful examples of how to share this gem. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Della. I'm sorry I couldn't do justice to introducing you simply because of technical, the gods up there didn't help. And there was a war going on. I apologize, but I wanted you to know that we consider you not only an author and a historian and a woman of distinct knowledge and intelligence, but a real pioneer who has put her hope and efforts and energy into staying there and creating an atmosphere of love, teaching, and solidarity. Thank you, Della. We love you. We appreciate all your efforts. Thank you very much. Della, I will ask Behzad to start with a Romanian prayer, and after that it would be Tara. Friends, may I ask all to mute yourselves, please. Behzad John, go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me? Bine cuvântate este locul și casa și satul și orașul și inima și muntele și adăpostul și peștera și valia și țara și marea și insula și poiana, unde numele Dumnealui a fost pomenit și unde Dumnezeu a fost preamărit. Baha'u'llah.
هو الله ای خدا خداوند مهربان، به فریاد بیچارگان برس. ای پاک یزدان، بر این اطفال یتیم رحم فرما. ای خداوند بی نیاز، این سیل شدید را قطع کن. ای خالق جهانیان، این آتش افروخته را خاموش کن. ای دادرس، به فریاد یتیمان برس. ای داور حقیقی، مادران جگرخون را تسلی ده. ای رحمان رحیم، بر چشم گریان و دل سوزان پدران رحم فرما. این طوفان را ساکت کن و این جنگ جهانگیر را به صلح و آشتی مبدل فرما. تویی بینا و تویی شنوا. عبدالبها عباس.
Here's a healing prayer for the ailing friend in Arabic. Ya Ilahi, اسمك شفائي وذكرك دوائي وقربك رجائي
community. فرحمتك حبيبي ومؤني في الدنيا والآخرة وإنك أنت المطيع العليم الحكيم إنك أنت المطيع العليم الحكيم.
Bob Lewis,
Yes,
please, can you say a prayer?
I would love to do that. Thank you. I beseech thee, O thou who art the Lord of all names, to guard thy loved ones against thine enemies, and to strengthen them in their love for thee, and in fulfilling thy pleasure. Do thou protect them, that their footsteps may slip not, that their hearts may not be shut out as by a veil from thee, and that their eyes may be restrained from beholding anything that is not of thee. Cause them to be so enraptured by the sweetness of thy divine melodies that they will rid themselves of all attachment to anyone except thee, and will turn wholly towards thee and extol thee under all conditions, saying, Praise be thou, O Lord our God, inasmuch as thou hast enabled us to recognize thy most exalted and all-glorious self. We will, by thy mercy, cleave to thee, and will detach ourselves from anyone but thee. We have realized that thou art the beloved of the worlds, and the creator of earth and heaven. Glorified be God, the Lord of all creation. Amen.
Ton nom est ma guérison, mon Dieu, et ton souvenir est mon remède. Être près de toi est mon espoir, et mon amour pour toi est mon compagnon. Ta miséricorde est ma guérison et mon soutien, en ce monde et dans l'autre. Tu es véritablement le Dieu de toute bonté, l'omniscient, l'infiniment sage.
O min Gud, foren dine tjeneres hjerter, og åbenbar for dem dit store formål. Må de følge dine bud og adlyde din lov. Hjælp dem, o Gud, i deres bestræbelser, giv dem styrke til at tjene dig. O Gud, overlad dem ikke til sig selv, men led deres trin ved lyset fra din viden, og glæd deres hjerter ved din kærlighed. I sandhed du deres hjælper og deres herre. Paula.
Do we have time to say one more prayer? والله ربنا وملاذنا زل كروبنا ببزوغ شمس وعدك الكريم وخفف همومنا بنزول ملائكة نصرك المبين وأنر أبصارنا بمشاهدة آيات أمرك العظيم ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا من لدنك ربنا افتح على وجوهنا أبواب السعادة والرخاء وذقنا حلاوة الهناء وارفعنا مقاما أنت ووعدتنا به في صحفك وكتبك إلى متى يا إلهنا هذا الظلم والطغيان إلى متى هذا الجور والعدوان هل لنا من مأمن إلا أنت لا وحضرة رحمانيتك أنت مجير المضطرين أنت سميع دعاء الملهوفين أدركنا بفضلك يا ربنا الأبهى ولا تخيب آمالنا يا مقصود العالمين وارحم الراحمين عمد عتبته شوقي.
Friends who would like to say the closing prayer, please go ahead. Della, would you like to do that yourself in Romanian?
Sure.
And then Shahla Jun afterwards.
O, Doamne, Dumnezeul meu, te implor într-o oceanul însănătoșirii tale, într-o splendorile luceafărului harului tău, într-un numele tău care i-a cucerit pe slujitorii tăi, într-o puterea plină de pătrundere a cuvântului tău prea slăvit, într-o forța slăvitei tale pene și într-o milostivire a ta care a precedat creația a tot ce există în cer și pe pământ, să mă curăți cu apele generozității tale de orice suferință și boală, de orice slăbiciune și debilitate. Tu îl vezi, o Doamne, Dumnezeule, pe slujitorul tău, rugându-se la poarta mărinimiei tale și pe cel ce și-a pus speranța în tine, ținându-se strâns de funia generozității tale. Nu-i refuza, te implor, lucrurile pe care le caută de la oceanul harului tău și de la luceafărul bunătății tale duioase. Tu ai puterea de a face ceea ce-ți place. Nu există alt Dumnezeu în afară de tine. Cel ce veșnic iartă, cel neasumuit de generos. Baha'u'llah.
Della John, this is for your friends. O God, my God, I beg of thee by the ocean of thy healing, and by the splendors of the day star of thy grace, and by thy name through which thou didst subdue thy servants, and by the pervasive power of thy most exalted word, and the potency of thy most august pen, and by thy mercy that have preceded the creation of all who are in heaven and on earth, to purge me with the waters of thy bounty from every affliction and disorder, and from all weakness and feebleness. Thou seest, O my Lord, thy suppliant waiting at the door of thy bounty, and him who has set his hopes on thee, clinging to the cord of thy generosity. Deny him not, I beseech thee, the things he seeketh from the ocean of thy grace and the day star of thy loving kindness. Powerful art thou to do what pleaseth thee. There is none other God save thee, the ever forgiving, the most generous.
May I say a short one in Italian?
Please go ahead.
Crea in me un cuore puro, o mio Dio, e rinnova entra di me una coscienza tranquilla, o mia speranza. Mediante lo spirito del protettore, confermami nella tua causa, o mio dilettissimo, e con la luce della tua gloria, rivelami la tua via, o metà del mio desio, col potere della tua forza trascendente, fino al cielo della tua santità, o essere, e con gli aliti della tua eternità, rallegrami, o tu che sei mio Dio, tranquillità su me, o mio cuore, e lascia che lo splendore della ventusa immagine mi da tutto fuorché di te, o mio Signore. E della rivelazione mi porta gioia, o tu che sei il più palese di quanti sono palesi, e il più celato di quanto sono celati. Baha'u'llah.
Della, I would like to finish with a comment which Mr. Ali Khan has put in the chat. Mr. Khan, we're very grateful that you were here and you're supporting us. And we're glad that Mr. Tahir Shamsi was able to read something in Arabic. I'm sure that made you very happy. He wrote, he's a very good friend of us who is attending every fireside. We are grateful to him. He wrote, to hear Della is akin to listening to the nightingale sing. I could understand very few words, but have tears in my eyes. Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks again. I can't find any words to thank you, Della. You're treading the path of your own teacher, Martha Ruth and Queen Maria of Romania. And this is wonderful to have people like them to look up to, and you have done a great job doing that, a great job. We hope to be able to have another session, but with a better internet and a better facility. I would like to thank every one of you that you joined us. Gibi bonjour and merci. Thank you so very much. and we'll see you soon. Grace, thank you for coming all the way from Greenland. We love you, Grace. Thank you. Thank you, Pina. Thank you, Jolly June. Thanks, Sue, Pam, Bahá'í June. Silvana, thanks for the Italian prayer. I will remember that for the next time. Jolly June, thank you so much. Behzad, thanks for the Romanian prayer. That was beautiful. Bob and Louise, we love you. We love you. In a few weeks, Louise will be presenting a fantastic session herself. So Della, I will send it to you.
Thank you.
About Seven Valleys. Mr. Talizadeh, thank you for being here, and much love to all of you. See you next week. Tara John.
Tara, beautiful chatting.
Beautiful. Tara is another.
Yes.
Firuzande, I wanted to thank you for the beautiful program, and thank you, Della, for the lovely presentation. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that Firuz, you sent me the link because nobody else did. Thank you. Thank you.
You're all part of
both. We can't leave.
You know, I will not be able to close this meeting. Tara, I love you. I cannot close this meeting. It is beyond me. So please start leaving. And Mr. Perimal, you didn't say a prayer for the past 3 sessions. I'm cross with you. Mr. Perimal joins us from Australia, and he has introduced all our friends from Malaysia and Indonesia to us.
Lovely.
Mr. Perimal, we love you very much.
Okay. See you all.
See you all. Take care. Bye.
Bye.